going to begin going through some of the components of all of our incredible product lines. So Audrey, take it away.
All right.
Well, oops, sorry, I'm a little loud. As we all know, the reason for VI and Body by Vi is obesity. It's a growing problem. Obesity is an epidemic with over 475 million adults obese, 1.5 billion obese globally. And by the year 2015, we predict that 2 out of every 4 people around the world are going to be overweight or obese, or 3 out of 4 by 2020. That's why we had the great pleasure today of introducing Vi Crunch. How many of you love the flavor? And we're going to talk a little bit about breakfast. You heard Blake talk about it, but Dr. Simon, do you want to talk a little bit about the importance of breakfast?
Sure. Can you hear me, everybody? As we talked about a little bit earlier today, breakfast, I think, is one of the most important meals. It's actually breaking the fast. When you go to sleep and you're fasting for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, however long you sleep, your body really goes into starvation mode. And there's regulation, hormonal changes of ghrelin and leptin and things that basically cause you to retain fat because you don't know when you're going to eat next. You're not necessarily thinking about when you're sleeping, but the next morning you wake up and you got to break the fast, hence the term breakfast. It's a very important meal. It gets you started. You don't send your kids off to school without it. You need the energy for brain function so they can take tests, so they can learn. You need the energy so you can go ahead and work and promote the challenge and make the world a healthier place. Breakfast is critical. The Vi Crunch helps.
Now, one of the interesting facts is over half of adults don't eat breakfast, and the studies say it's because they think we're saving calories, right? And what happens is you actually slow your metabolism, and if you don't get enough calories and you don't eat breakfast, you can actually gain weight. So breakfast is really important.
And some people like me always thought that there weren't great breakfast choices. In reality, there aren't. And so the Vi Crunch really has been the mastermind of Eric. I think he's someplace in the back of
say hi to Eric. He works with me, and he did the cereal launch for us. Thank you, Eric.
The funny thing is, Ryan said to us a couple of years ago, you know, cereal is going to be the next big thing for us. And I was thinking how boring. I got to tell you, I'm thinking, how do you make cereal better? And really, Dr. Witherly, Audrey, and I really don't want to get involved in making something that we can't make 100 million times better than what's out there. And I wasn't quite sure how we would do it. And with a lot of effort, that happened.
There isn't anything out there to compare with this.
That's nothing. And that's why we'll get into the details, but that's why we've actually filed a patent on this product so that nobody else can make anything like it. Now, we have in your ViNet back office the fact sheet, very similar to your shake fact sheet, and it's going to list all the benefits. It's kosher, it's lactose-free, it's caffeine-free, all of the great things about vegetarian, friendly, all of that is in your ViNet back office on the fact sheet. And I'm going to start talking a little bit about the protein in the cereal. Is that all right? Yes. I don't think so. Absolutely, please do. I'll talk a little bit about it, and then I'll turn it to the 2 doctors to talk as well. But we created this with a different protein blend than the shake so that they work synergistically. We know that different proteins break down at different rates in your body, and they build muscle in different and complementary ways. So the shake in a flake was designed to be a complement to your current challenge kit with 5 different proteins. Now those included oat bran, whey protein, which we have in our shake, a whey concentrate, an organic brown rice protein, which is a brand new protein, which I'll have Dr. Witherly talk about, and a milk protein concentrate. But once again, we created it with lactose-free. The other thing that we did, which was very difficult to do, and I can tell you that because Eric and I have been in the manufacturing plant many times, is make it without wheat or wheat gluten. If you go to a grocery store and look at any of those common, as they said today, don't compete with us products. They're just basically wheat and wheat gluten kind of products with a lot of sugar. Now, Dr. Witherly, when we were creating this, you came up with the idea of brown rice protein. Can you talk about brown rice protein?
Absolutely. Does anybody here eat white rice? Don't! This protein comes from brown rice. It's been shown in a study just 2 weeks ago. It's equal into muscle building potential as whey protein. It's special. It's the only cereal in the marketplace that has brown rice concentrate, and you are the only ones that have access to this unique brown rice protein.
Can I add something about the oat bran? So the oat bran, Dr. Witherly and I were talking about this, also has something called beta-1316-glucans in it. And what that means, it actually comes from yeast as well.
Say that again 3 times.
Beta-1316-glucans. And there's I give a lot of talks about alternatives and healing, and please don't say, quote, we can cure cancer because, quote, we can't. But beta-1316-glucans, which comes from yeast, is also an oat bran, is a very powerful immunostimulant, so it really helps the immune system and helps you fight off diseases.
Powerful stuff. Yeah, so just like our shake, we do a lot of thinking on this. Now, one of the things that's different is this is a prebiotic fiber. This one is called inulin. It works similar to the one in the shake, but again, it's different, and that's because it works differently in your gut. I'm going to have Dr. Witherly talk a little bit about how it works differently in your gut, and then I'll ask you to talk about the benefits.
In the shake, we have something called fibersol, resistant dextrin. When we're developing this, we wanted other fibers that are complementary. We want both soluble and insoluble. And what we put in this prebiotic fiber is an inulin, so it works in a different part of your gut. So the combination of the shake and the crunch gives you about every prebiotic I know. It's unusual, it's fantastic, and it causes the growth of good bacteria. So these products are not exclusionary. They work together, Vite Crunch and the Vite Shake. You can take them together, or if you don't like the shake, you can do the Vite Crunch itself. But they're complementary, immune boosting, wonderful. Your good bacteria in your gut, well, thank you for it.
Yeah, so you know, you can see the benefits up there: immune support, digestive support, heart health, things of that nature. I'm also very passionate about the fact that fiber in our diet, and the typical American diet, is very low. This gives you 5 grams of extra fiber that we need, and so it really puts us on the right start to help us with absorption, with digestion, with fiber content. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that we can reduce the risk of certain types of cancer, including colon cancer, by ingesting more fiber in our diet. So we're giving us healthy nutritional tools to help ourselves be a healthier population and healthier planet.
And then I'm going to answer 2 questions, which I know we're going to get asked. Where does inulin come from? Inulin is a fiber that's derived primarily from chicory, which is a lettuce. It's a dark green leafy vegetable. You can also find it in artichokes, bananas, and other fruits and vegetables. Ours is coming primarily from chicory. Now, just to warn you, remember, you will get gas. Prebiotics.
You will like it.
Prebiotics will do that to you. So your body will adjust typically in a day to 3 days. Again, it's a different prebiotic than the shakes. If you use them together, you may get a little gas for a few days, but you're going to like this one. It helps with regularity as well as the shake, and in a little different way, and it's a very good benefit.
If you eat 6 bowls of this, could you stay 50 feet away from me?
He's getting He is kidding, but it is in there also because it does help with mineral and calcium absorption. And what do you eat your cereal with? Usually milk. So that's another reason why it's also great for children, because we know that as you grow up until about age 14 or 17, you're building calcium in your bones, and after that you start to deplete it. So there's a good reason for having inulin in our cereal.
One of the things I was so amazed with, because we were able to test the product, and you would think, okay, 3/4 cup, I mean, how many of you eat a big bowl of cereal, right? Big, you know, you think, I need to have all the cereal, because it really doesn't hold you over, it doesn't sustain you. I was amazed with the 3/4 cup of how sustained we were, how full we felt. I mean, it was just amazing to me.
Well, that's, we actually have a couple secrets in the cereal that other companies don't do, which is part of our patent. And one of them is a potato extract. Do you want to talk about the potato extract?
Yeah, the potato extract is called Splendesta, and I think it's what, 30 potatoes to make just
26 pounds.
26 pounds of potatoes.
No, 26 potatoes, 26 and a half potatoes.
French fries are the #1 most satisfying food that you can have. But they also have something in there that makes you satiety with French fries. We pull that out, we put it into the crunch. So as you're eating this stuff, this potato extract interacts with your CCK receptors, telling you you're full. You're literally, your stomach thinks you're eating twice as much food as you are, and in the subsequent meal, you'll be eating less. We have the full clinical dose, and as far as I know, nobody else in the country has this.
For those of you who've written to me about sucralose in the shake, I've talked about the sugar is deadly science, and we eat way too much sugar. The average teenager in America today is eating 3 to 4 pounds of sugar a week. The average adult's eating 8 ounces or a cup of sugar a day. And there are a lot of studies that show that that kind of sugar is not healthy for you. So we all know that kids' cereals are high sugar. You've seen it, you're like, okay, well it's Fruity Pebbles or it's Sugar Smacks, hello, Frosted Flakes. So we know that they're high sugar, but did you know that adult cereals are high sugar too? Things that sound healthy. How many of you have ever had Raisin Bran for breakfast? And you think, okay, I'm getting bran. Well, over 40% of your calories are coming from sugar. And very little, if any, protein. We're going to talk next, like, how many of you use the chocolate and strawberry mix-ins in your shake? Yeah. Well, we took that same idea and put it into our fusions, which is also part of our patent application. And do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Well, first of all, how many of you were able to try the chocolate macadamia granola? Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I mean, first of all, it's delicious, and what I love about the tri-berry is that it's sweet. You're getting both, which I think is great. I mean, some people are chocoholics, some people like the fruit, but there is the variety there. But what's amazing to me is just like the flavor mix-ins, which we're going to get to, which will blow you away, the nutrition in the flavor mix-ins, but this as well.
So one thing I'm going to add, because Dr. Ridley mentioned about the potato that makes you feel full, the chlorogenic acid, which comes from the green coffee, which is in the chocolate, is also something that's been shown to help with weight loss and also helps a little bit with satiety as well. And then the berry power with the 3 different types of berries has a lot of very powerful antioxidants and phytonutrients in it as well.
Exactly. And our sugar, I forgot to mention, is only 3 grams of sugar, but how many of you thought it tasted really good and sweet? Did it taste like bran or anything like that? Well, it was a lot of work to figure out how to make it taste good. And you're going to find that in these, there's not a lot of sugar in these either. There's 2 grams of sugar. Now the chocolate, as you said, has the chlorogenic acid from green coffee bean. It has no caffeine, so don't worry, there's no caffeine in that. But it will help with hunger control and also possibly some fat burning properties.
Absolutely, it does have fat burning properties. Chlorogenic acid, and there's other compounds that are in our green coffee bean extract that has 6 clinical trials, and it's in a certain ratio, so it helps burn fat, it helps with your appetite, it helps slim you down. So you have state-of-the-art green coffee bean extract in yours, which most people will pay for. But once again, you've got something that nobody else does.
We do have the clinically tested, branded ingredient in our product. You will see the name of it on our label, and we do have it in at the clinical dose, and it does have benefits for heart health, diabetes, weight loss, and more. So there's a lot of benefits. Now on the berry, I want to point out that the color and the flavor are derived from natural raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. All natural, no artificial anything in any of our product. And this one has really got some powerful, as you were saying, phytonutrients, which we can't tell you what it does because that one the government won't let me tell you, but you can Google it and find out it's very powerful. You talk about it.
Well, how do we use the Vi-Crunch, guys? There are so many ways to utilize it because, as Nick said, and as you've heard, it's highly, highly consumable. You can do a lot with this. Matt and I were using the shake mix with water as our milk source, so that was talk about an amazing flavor and getting that double dose of protein because we did a fitness challenge, and so that has been awesome for us.
And the synergistic effect of the 2 proteins and the 2 different types of fiber.
There you go. I didn't know that, but all I know is I feel amazing. That's all you got to tell people. You feel amazing. Seriously. And of course, as a snack, is absolutely fantastic. And so there's so many ways to utilize it, which I think is so incredible.
Right. And also, I haven't tried it yet, but I want to desperately make like a Rice Krispie out of those berries. I think that would be fun. All right. Now, again, as you heard today,
You can tell everyone's hungry.
I know, sorry. You can add the crunch packs to your challenge kit, any challenge kit, and get it for free. So we hope you all try to take advantage of the special event pricing and get that Vi-Crunch and Vi-Crunch Fusion into your household.
Let's hear it for the shake. You know, what's so amazing is that so much has happened for so many of us utilizing the shake. So when you think that we're adding this additional component of the crunch, I mean, just pinch me. I cannot wait to get home and absolutely freaking rock and share this with absolutely everybody. But the shake still rules, don't you agree? So let's talk about the shake and why the shake is number one. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of quality that goes into our products behind the scenes that you don't see. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the quality that we put into all of our products. First of all, we're manufactured in CGMP facilities, which means they're good manufacturing practices. It's a certification. You can't buy it, and it's a very lengthy and very expensive process to get. The plant is also FDA inspected, and our shake is made in also an OU, kosher certified manufacturing facility. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, it means that every ingredient that goes into every one of our products, we test the ingredient when it comes into the plant for potency and purity to our standards. If it doesn't match, we don't use it. Then we test during manufacturing to ensure that we have consistency of product. Then we test at the end of manufacturing to ensure that we have label claim and what we say is in the shake and nothing else. Then we send it to an outside independent testing lab where we put it through this heat cycle and simulate 2 years of shelf life and test it again to make sure that at the end of 2 years it still has what we say is in it. And then we send it to another outside independent testing lab and we test for all of the above plus for heavy metals and everything else you don't want in your shake, so we can assure you that every time you get it, it is the best shake on the planet.
I agree.
Now our shake, as you've seen in our comparison charts, is the shake mix that tastes like a cake mix, and now we've got that same flavor in our crunch. It's lower carb than other brands, low fat, low sugar, low sodium, isoflavone-free, lactose-free, gluten-free, yet packed with nutrition and flavor. And you're going to see the same thing in our cereal. It is your shake in a flake. Right? It is low fat, low sugar, lower carb than other cereals. Doesn't have soy, but it has other healthy ingredients. Has no lactose, and it has no wheat or wheat gluten. So the cereal is your shake in a flake.
Brilliant.
Now, Dr. Steve, do you want to talk about the 3 proteins we have in our shake?
Yeah, I'll do it quickly, but this is very, very important because this is what made this shake, and it's what made all of you thin out there. We, in theory, put together a formulation of 3 different proteins that would break down at different times. That was theory. That was 7 years ago. Well, that theory has come to fruition. There's studies now showing that what we put together is exactly what you do. Whey hydrolysate gets broken down first, you feel full. Then whey concentrate breaks down next, and you feel full. Then soy protein breaks down at the end, and you feel full. So all the time you have all satiety. Instead of going up and down, you have it constant. And that's what makes dieting so easy, because you have a fullness signal always coming from your body. And that's the genius of the shake. I will never change a thing when it comes to the protein sources.
Yeah, I'd love to just address something, and I know that some of you may have gotten this question, where even though it isn't in the crunch, it is in our shake, but it's extremely healthy because, let's talk about soy, because I know that comes up often, and I think a lot of this comes from the Dairy Council, but that's just me. But so tell me about the soy.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of myth on the internet, and I call it the telephone game. You remember that game when you were a little kid? By the time it gets around the room, it's spun out of control. Well, think of the internet as one big telephone game, and a lot of people take things and they try and twist it for their own personal gain. And so I encourage you, when you do your research, do it accurately and look at real studies. Now, we use soy for a number of reasons. First of all, it's easily digested. That's why soy is used in infant formula. It's easily digested. That's important important for young and old alike. As we age, we eat less protein. It's harder for our bodies to break it down. So we have the soy in there because it's easily digested. It's also in there because it builds lean muscle equal to, if not greater than whey, which our bodybuilders always like to argue with me about, but I have clinicals to prove it. So we know it's going to help you build that lean muscle, which is really important to maintain your health and to help you lose weight. And then also studies have shown that adequate consumption of soy in your body can help your body lower C-reactive protein, which is an indicator of heart disease and inflammation. So there are a number of benefits. Now a lot of people go, oh, but it's going to turn me into a girly man, or it's going to cause cancer. I can assure you, and if you talk to some of our bodybuilder men out there, or Dr. Steve, you can't see what he's been doing with these arms. It isn't going to turn our men into girly men. It has no impact on your...
I'll show you offline.
It actually has quite the opposite effect. If you've looked on my fan page, you'll see I've posted a lot of studies about soy and men's prostate health, so please read my fan book page if you're a geek like me. And for cancer, there's always been a lot of theory and concern about soy with cancer because the soy molecule looks like estrogen, but there have been plenty of studies that show it doesn't impact estrogen. And you can Google it, don't trust me, Google it yourself. The American Cancer Society came out in November of 2012 in support of soy because they do feel it has benefits for people to fight cancer.
A couple of other things is, soy has been used in Japan and Asia, and they have a much lower risk of heart disease and cancer than we do. They consume much more soy. Soy is an amazing protein. It's very good for you. I was interviewed. We have one of the largest North American producers of soy milk in the state of Michigan, and they interviewed me, and I told my wife I'm going to be in the paper. They interviewed me for about 45 minutes about the benefits of soy, about osteoporosis, about lowering LDL, about lowering cholesterol. Soy does all of these things. It's got a lot of great properties in it. And literally in my lab one day talking for about 45 minutes, and they said, Dr. Simon, just give us one sentence, and in the end I said, fine, soy is great. And so I'm reading this 2-page article in our major, Detroit News, and I'm reading it. I know Detroit's bankrupt, but the paper still comes out. So we're reading this paper, and on the second page it says, Dr. Michael Seidman, Medical Director of Wellness at the largest institution in the Midwest, says, quote, soy is great. After about 45 minutes we're talking about the benefits. But so one of the things that we've done is we've removed the phytoestrogens, which are dadsine and genistein, which are two things that have had questionable effects on the cancer, but there have, as Audrey mentioned, been some very good studies to show that it's actually probably very heart protective, very positive anti-cancer benefits, and so it's an outstanding protein, and I think it's great that we now give you the opportunity to have multiple sources of protein in our diet.
Right, and multiple chances now to say, okay, you're going to fight me, well, I'll go chew on this.
And if there's any endocrinologists out there, yeah, right. One of the concerns was that soy will interfere with thyroid medicine. Again, isoflavones have been taken out, so it will not interfere, so that was one concern. What was the other concern? We get a lot of questions besides, we already talked about it.
Yeah, the concern is it will interfere with thyroid medication.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It may say on your medication, take your medication without calcium or 2 hours apart, so just figure out with your pharmacist or doctor when to take your medication, but it doesn't mean you can't have the shake.
I always say consider the source. Your neighbor who looked at some goofy page on the internet, or these fine, educated, top doctors and scientists. I mean, just consider the source.
Just because there's somebody out on the internet who has the name doctor in front of them, which I'm going to slap that person one day, and I'm not a violent person, but that one I will. Be careful. They have ulterior motives.
Audrey's throwing down. She's throwing down. Let's talk about the flavor mix-ins. I was blown away because I initially thought, as most people do, that these are just to add flavor, and you don't really understand how significant the nutrition components are in these mix-ins. I was blown away. Please share.
Well, the strawberries phytonutrients, which again has very many benefits, and each little packet has the equivalent of 50 strawberries or a whole basket of strawberries worth of phytonutrients. That box is about 750 strawberries a box. So there's a lot of concentrated nutrition in there.
I know.
The chocolate has polyphenols. How many of you have heard dark chocolate's good for your heart? It has the equivalent of 6 to 8 bars of dark chocolate per packet for 4 calories. I'm going to have you talk about the banana. What is guarana?
guarana is a seed, and it has polyphenols in there that helps with fat burning. We also have green tea and ginseng, panic ginseng. It's really good for your health. And cordyceps. Cordyceps comes from China, and it's what the Asian Olympic athletes used to use. It's a special type of a fungus, and it increases the amount of ATP or energy in the body. So it's a great mixer.
He says fungus, it's a mushroom, just so you know. The orange supports your immune system daily. It's got a number of great ingredients in it. And then the peach has got glucosamine, biotin, and fine bark extract to support beautiful skin and healthy joints.
Fantastic. Now into the next slide.
All right, so Visalus, how many people use Visalus? All right. Visalus has got a clinically tested formalin, and that is a coleus extract.
Coleus extract, that's correct.
And what does it do?
The coleus extract, what that helps is break down fat. It encourages lipolysis or breaking down of fat.
And then we have evidiamide, which is used in China as a tea.
Yeah, vodamine is similar to black pepper, and it speeds up the metabolism. It's been used in China for many, many years to give yourself a boost.
Now, the key difference of our metabolism booster versus others on the market is ours has no caffeine and no harsh stimulants. Some brands will use something called bitter orange, which turns to synephrine in your body, can make your heart race. We chose not to do that because if you're overweight, you probably already have concerns about your heart health. So this one will help you burn an additional 85 to 125 calories a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that adds up to 10 to 15 pounds a year. So a great natural support for your healthy metabolism.
I want to say one thing about the Visalus.
Yeah, it's 10 to 15 pounds of fat.
Yeah, it's amazing because how many of you have ever taken over-the-counter diet pills? Like I did for 20 years, different things, and I felt like my skin was crawling, my hair was crawling. But what I love about this is there are no stimulants, but also the 80 to 120 calories burned. I mean, you burn that just by taking this, so if I don't feel like working out, I just take 20.
Oh,
so does that work? No? Am I not supposed to do that?
So one thing that we promote here
Don't do that, I'm
one thing
kidding.
we
I'm a
promote here
joker.
is lifestyle and eating right and taking good care of yourself. She was just totally joking. You need 30 pills to do that each
All right, my trim is the product that I don't travel without. It's in my purse. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. If you're on an airplane, as much as I am, and you're hungry, and you see that cart come by, and all there is just carbs, carbs, and carbs on that thing, throw a little bit in some juice, some tomato juice, into some milk in your shake. It's going to help you stay full longer. It's really great for supporting a healthy mood, which is important because when you go on a diet, many people stress, and this will help take the stress out of dieting.
It's very fun to travel with Audrey because, hey, you got any Vitrim in your purse? So the rolls her eyes, pulls it out. You got any Visalus in your purse? Rolls it out. Got any Immunity? Pulls it out. How about a BiPAC? Okay. How about a shake? She's got a blender in there.
This is one of my particular favorite products, and I just want to emphasize that if you're not using this, you're probably making a mistake. Now, I'm not going to ask how many people are on Prozac. Keep your hands down. Good. But this has the same mechanism. Serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's been recently discovered that it increases serotonin and makes you feel better and decreases your appetite. 3 months ago, this extract, Garcinia, has been shown to work on the leptin and the fat cell. And that is, it's Ayurvedic medicine, 2,000 years old, used in India to lose weight, and now it directly works on the fat cell to shrink it. That data is only 3 months old. And how long ago did we formulate this?
6.5 years ago.
6.5 years ago. How did we know?
And then also, a lot of you write in and ask about Garcinia cambogia because Dr. Oz says it's good. Well, we've had it for 6.5 years.
Oh, he says it's good?
Yeah,
Dr. Oz? He's on the late freight.
You guys are so ahead of the curve. So often Matt will ask me, honey, have you had your Vitrim today? You have those certain times. But it does help. Some of you got that, right? But you know what? It does help with the hunger, and I'm amazed at what it does. Guys, just understand, you will feel the effects from your own personal experience. That's what you need to know, and that's why this is just so incredible.
Now we're going to talk about Visalus Go and Visalus Pro. How many of you have ever used those before? Woo! Well, these are specially formulated for athletes and non-athletes. For athletes, it will help you work out longer, work out stronger, makes you want to get up and move, and more. And the secret sauce is Power Grape. Do you want to talk about Power Grape?
Yeah, this Power Grape is amazing stuff. It comes from France, Bordeaux grapes, and technically you would think it would be illegal with what it does. But what it does is it comes from leftover wine grapes. The polyphenols get into the body and they protect your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are what make ATP the energy. So if you, as the more you work out, your mitochondria heat up like a car that goes bad. So what this Power Grape does, it goes to the mitochondria and protects it and says, you're not heating up. You can work harder. And then your brain feels and goes, whoa, I can work harder. And one clinical study showed that literally taking the Power Grape, doing nothing else for 8 weeks, it's like you were training at 8,000 feet for 2 months. That's the effects on the body. So it's a really exciting product. If you're not taking it, you're missing out on the workout of your lifetime.
So as you can see, this is an excerpt from the clinical. It helps with performance and recovery. And then there it shows you the antioxidant capacity. Now, why does that matter to an athlete? Well, when you work out, you release free radicals. Free radicals can help make you sick. You might want to talk about free radicals.
Oh my, you don't want to get me started. It's been free So free radicals have been about 25 years of my NIH-funded research. I've been studying this since about 1986. And so the bottom line is if you breathe, which we do, and if you think, which we all mostly do, right? I sometimes do. And if you exercise, if you do anything, you're generating ATP. We heard Dr. Wheeler talk about ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the primary energy molecule in your body. And in that process, you generate free radicals. The easy story is you put gasoline in your car, you get to go from point A to point B. That's the good news. The bad news is that you emit emissions out of the tailpipe, hydrocarbons and other waste products, of course. And so we put food in our body, preferably good food, the Crunch, the shakes, things of that nature, and healthy fruits and vegetables and a sensible diet. And you still will generate reactive oxygen species or free radicals. So we actually form about 7 trillion. That's 7 trillion. It's what's our budget deficit? I forget what it is in the United States, but it's close. So we make 7 trillion.
14.7 trillion as a deficit on Watch Talk Radio.
So 7 trillion free radicals per second at rest. You form 7 trillion free radicals per second at rest, which in my mind is the logic of things like Power Grape. It's the logic of the BiPAC, the antioxidants. You need more of these, in my opinion, to defend against the oxidative stress that your body is going through. So they're critical from everything from Alzheimer's disease to heart disease to cancer. And there's a lot of evidence, albeit controversial, there's always controversy with anything in science, that the more free radicals you form, the more problems you have. And you look at lifespan data, the sea turtles that live to be 100+ years old have some of the highest antioxidant defense mechanisms of any species out there, and the fruit fly, Drosophila, has some of the lowest, and they live about 24 hours. So it's important to consume your antioxidants, in my opinion.
So now the difference between Pro and Go is Go has twice of the Power Grape that the Pro does. The Pro has twice of an ingredient called isomaltose, say that 3 times real fast, which is an ingredient that supports muscle energy. So we created them to be synergistic. You say Pro before, Pro before, Go during.
Yeah, you can do that. Usually take the shot first, then exercise about 20 minutes, and then use the Pro while you're exercising. And I like to finish up with a Neuro because of the green tea that's in there. But it's safe. There is caffeine in the products, but I added an ingredient that takes the caffeine buzz off. I've only had 15 today, but
And the Pro and Go only have 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is about 2/3 of a cup of coffee. All right. Neuro? How many people love Neuro?
Yeah.
And we call this one Smart Energy because it's got brain supporting functions. Do you want to talk about DMAE?
So DMAE is actually naturally sourced from fish. It's considered brain food, and it's very important to help the brain think, for clarity, for cognitive abilities. Rhodiola is something that I think Steve, so when we formulate products here, we get to work together, which is really exciting. You know, Ryan, Nick, and Blake come up with an idea of what they want. Audrey scours the market, and then we kind of work together, and I get to help govern and have some oversight of the products. And so we go back and forth about the things that we want to put in. And So that's how we come up together with some of these amazing products that Visalus has created for you. But rhodiola was something that Steve thought up, which is a brilliant use of an herb that's been used by Olympic athletes for years. The Russian Olympic team uses it. It's a very powerful herb. And then also arginine. We've done a lot of studies in our lab looking at things that release arginine. And arginine is a very powerful vasodilator, so it improves blood flow and improves circulation. And then Dr. Witherly, the mad scientist, again decided to add a lot of citrulline in the Grow and Go, which leads to more arginine.
Yeah, well, this is what we did was, people ask me, can you mix Neuro with the Go and Pro? The answer is yes. Bring out your biochemistry textbook and look at the citrulline arginine cycle. That cycle is used for a lot of things. Some things I can't talk about because there's kids here. But you can add Neuro to the citrulline, and you want an NO pump. That's the way to get it. Our products will do that better than others. If you're bodybuilders, these are the products for you.
I have combined all three, and especially Matt and I were doing a fitness challenge the last 90 days, and so former Body by Body champions, Jimmy Lee and Deb Edwards, said, oh, it's our magic formula, is they do the Go, Pro, and Neuro in a big bottle of water for their workouts, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. The Nutri Cookie, how many of you know it's now gluten-free? I get asked why it doesn't say that on the box. We're going to be rolling out that new beautiful black branding. When we roll that out later this year, you'll see that on the box. Again, it's your shake in a cookie format with 9 grams of protein, but it has 2.2 servings of fruits and vegetable nutrients, which is really great. Also a full serving of calcium. Also has that prebiotic fiber. Since less than a quarter of Americans, more like 13%, get enough fiber in your diet, we keep you full with that, and the fiber supports your immune system. And then ViPack.
ViPack.
Ooh, the ViPack is amazing. It's a star in its own, isn't it?
Well, you know, when you think about creating something, you think about what the problem is. And I don't know if you realize this, but even, well, hopefully not in this room if you're on the ViPack, but 1 out of 3 people on this planet, that doesn't just mean sub-Saharan Africa, have a micronutrient deficiency. And physicians and scientists continuously change the bar. So it used to be you had to be at about 20 for vitamin D. Now they're saying, you know, even higher. And so they keep changing the bars of what's appropriate. And so a lot of the science that we've done, we started back in 1986. It's more than 25 years of NIH funding that have come up with this, but it's to solve a problem. And no matter, I make a bag of vegetables for my wife and I every Sunday night, so it's cauliflower, spinach, carrots, and broccoli, because I don't like vegetables. I always joke, hi, my name is Michael, and I'm a junk food junkie. I mean, I love junk food just like everybody else does, but I wouldn't get the nutrients if I didn't do this. But even if you do things right, which I believe I do most of the time, most of Americans don't. Most of us don't exercise enough. Most of us drink too much, smoke too much, do all these things that are bad, don't get enough sleep, certainly don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. And so it's really about 90+% of the people on this planet are not really getting enough nutrients. You can see the list here. So it's with that problem in mind that I wanted to create a platform of more than 80 different types of nutrients to support the body. Now, we had so many testimonials when it was our first product. People said, oh my God, my arthritis is gone. Oh my God, this is gone. Oh my God, I'm not taking insulin anymore. These are anecdotes. These are N's of ones. These are not randomized studies. We can't say it's going to cure or treat anything, as you well know. But the stories were heartwarming, and they were wonderful stories, very powerful stories of people who are using the product. And my answer to that is that we're providing you a platform of about 80 different nutrients that really support the body. And I was talking with one of the past trainers of the Oakland Raiders who's in here someplace today. In medicine today, we underestimate the value and the ability of the power of the mind and the spirit is, well, I know it sounds voodoo-ish, but the power of the body and the mind to heal itself. Voltaire in the 1600s said, he was a very famous physician at the time, he says, the purpose of a physician is to amuse the patient until the body heals itself. And I wish we could learn that today. You know, we're so busy sticking needles into it. And some of my cynical doctor friends will say it's because they had no tools back there. All they could do was put a hand on your shoulder. But of course, we don't do that today because we're afraid that somebody's going to get mad at you if you put your hand on their shoulder. But in any event, I really believe in the power of the body to help heal itself, and we just have not allowed that to happen. And so our first patent was the anti-age energy formula. What we know is mitochondrial function declines with age as early as your mid-20s. 20s, we can turn that clock back. We've shown it in an animal model. And so actually the body produces energy more safely and more efficiently. We actually have studied the mitochondrial DNA genome, and we've actually shown that there are some reparative processes that happen. So it's a patented product. It's in your anti-age energy formula. The antioxidant formula has more than 26 different types of antioxidants. I'm very proud of the fact that it's got the equivalent of about 72 glasses of red wine extract in the form of resveratrol. So somebody long ago, I don't remember if it was Pete Bunting or somebody said, you know, oh, you can take the Vipac and you can drive home. So, you know, after having the equivalent of 72 glasses of red wine. But there's other things inside these supplements that are so powerful that most people just don't put into it. The proprietary Omega Vitals I'm very proud of, because a lot of people, you know, where do you source this from? You source it from the deep sea fish that have lots of the omega-3s that are critical for heart health, that are just very important for a lot of different bodily processes. And the problem is that our fish supply is tainted with mercury, cadmium, heavy metals, and lead, because we're dumping it into our rivers, we're dumping it into our streams, and flows into the oceans. So most people who give you these essential oils, they don't do something. You heard the beautiful story that Audrey said about how we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And so we actually, one of the things that we do that most companies don't do is we molecularly distill the oils, which removes the heavy metals, the mercury, the PCB, so it tests pretty much zero of any of that stuff, and basically it's just very good for you.
And I
Go ahead.
I just want to add on to the omega, two thoughts. One, if you're not eating salmon, mackerel, or sardines 3 to 5 times a week, which I hate salmon, mackerel, and sardines, you should take your omega. And for those of you on the transformation kit, if you add on the Vipac, absolutely double up on the omega, because it's healthy for you.
Absolutely.
So you can't get enough omega.
And the last is the multiple vitamin and mineral formula, which basically rounds it out. So the Vipac is set up as a very convenient twice-a-day thing for you. Some people say, oh, I forget to take the second pack. You can take it all in the morning if you want to. You can take it all in the evening if you want to. We've had some people say, oh my God, it gives me so much energy. And I said, well, then go back to taking it in the morning. Make sure you take it with a full glass of water and a little bit of food in your stomach. I take a half a cookie for breakfast. Now I'm going to be eating the Vi-Crunch. Yes, Oreos. Oreos are...
Yeah, Oreos.
Ornidins, no, that's it. So yes, Vi-Crunch in the morning, and your Vipac is critical. Oh yeah, this was Nick Sarnicola very early on sent out the product and was, Michael, how would we do against some of the competitors? And I said, I don't know. And so if you can see, it's kind of fine print there. But you know, I'm not one to slam other companies. I think Herbalife, where a lot of people came from that are now here, makes a very good product. I think Pharmanex
They do?
Yeah, I think they make a good product.
I used to work there.
I know you did. So Pharmanex makes a good product. USANA makes a good product. I just really believe that we are hands down significantly better for many reasons. And without knowing it, our ORAC values blew the next highest competitor out of the water by more than 2.5-fold. And ORAC stands for oxidation reduction absorbance capacity, which is the ability to scavenge those 7 trillion free radicals per second.
And can I just add to that, to turn that into English? If you cut an apple and it starts to brown, that's oxidation. Actually, I did this experiment with both Vitify and the Vipac. Antioxidant is I crushed up the antioxidant in water, and I took an apple and dipped one in water and one in the crushed up antioxidant, and let it sit for 8 hours, and one turned more brown than the other. And then I did that with Vitify, the same thing. So if you want to do your own little fun experiment in your kitchen, how about it?
I can tell you this, I'm talking about how many of you had blue packs on your windowsill, like, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did do double in the morning, but now I also double in the afternoon, or in the evening. So I do 4 a day, and that's, tell me about that. I mean, I can't overdo the Vipac.
I'm always surprised, because we've come up with the shake and we've really promoted a challenge, which is exciting to me. We've helped people lose millions of pounds, but in my opinion, you still need to do it smartly and safely, and I do. You know, obviously I'm biased. This is my study. I have a degree in human nutrition from the School of Public Health at the University of Michigan, but I do believe that the whole world needs to be on supplements. We told you 1 out of 3 people have a micronutrient deficiency, and so it's silly if you're not on it. You should be on it. They actually had a sale on it. They were pretty much giving it away, and somebody told me they bought 8 years worth, and I don't think it'll last quite 8 years, but he said, no, we bought 8 years, a year for 8 different people. So, but it's something that I think is very important. And you can double up on it safely if you want to. It starts to add up, obviously, but I would say for sure everybody needs to be on at least 1 Vipac a day.
Absolutely. And then, how many of you are excited Vitify is finally back? I'm so excited, I love this product. Vitify is a powdered drink mix, no caffeine, so it's a great product for your kids, great product for you. Fights 5 different types of free radicals, has some of the highest antioxidant ingredients on the market today. We tested this, it's the highest testing ORAC score, over 116,000 ORAC, which was, if you saw us when we launched this thing, we were dancing because we've never seen anything that high before. So it's a great product for that. It has the equivalence of about 70 servings of fruits and vegetables in a packet, so really high.
That you should take these formulas and then skip your fruits and vegetables. It's similar to the 20 pills, and then we don't exercise. We got to do it all. We got to find a way to do it all, and I do believe that we can. And I'm really passionate about promoting a challenge and a lifestyle in the sense that, you know what, I'm usually out of the house at 5:30 in the morning. I'm usually not back till 7:30 or 8. I make time for an hour of exercise a day. It's my sanity. I eat my vegetables. I don't like them, so I eat Nutri-Cookies instead, and I get 2.2 servings of my vegetables. I take the BiPAC. You know, got to get enough sleep. That's something I probably don't do and I'm not very good at. We got to figure out ways to do this. And my answer is we can all do it because we have to, because you're the CEOs of your body. Take care of it. Take care of what you put inside your body and what you put inside your kids' bodies.
All right, and then I think we'll just turn it back to you. I think that's it.
Awesome, guys. A couple of questions that do come up often, and I want to go back to, as we talk about, we're promoting the challenge. These products support your 90-day challenge and the 90-day challenges of all of your customers, and obviously they are superior. But one of the questions that we often hear with the shake, and I want to go back to that real quickly, is the sweetener in the shake. Can you go over the sweetener?
This is my diatribe, I know.
Before you start, can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So any UKers here? Anybody from the United Kingdom? All right, we got some UKers here. So they have 31,000 milligrams, right? So 31 grams for 26 grams. Okay. So just for a show of the long story short is that there are 26,000 milligrams in a serving of a shake, which is 26 grams. There are 3 milligrams, so 3 milligrams to 26,000 milligrams of sucralose. If you do the math and you figure it out, it's 0.00015% of the actual shake. The FDA sets limits on what you can ingest of sucralose, and the answer is there are 2,233 seats in here. You can actually have 2,862 shakes before you reach the FDA limits.
And that's
a day.
And that's not the highest limit studied, but that's the limit that the FDA has said is when they go, okay, don't exceed that.
Right. I mean, that's not the level you die. That's the level like that the FDA says that's
actually
per day.
And then they gave animals 86,000, the equivalent of 86,000 shakes a day. I mean, you just can't do it. So, anyways, but yeah, we have to listen to what others.
Animals still lived. It was
yes, correct. Just to put it in perspective.
Put it in perspective, you need close to 3,000 shakes a day to get to the FDA limit where they say, hey, that's a little too much.
Right.
If you're drinking 3,000 shakes a day, you got another problem. That's all I got to say.
And talk about it in terms of like a common food, it's about a quarter of a diet soda, so it's a very small amount. So people ask me, why does it taste sweet? Well, it's because of the quality of our proteins. Other shakes are bitter, gritty, or even aftertaste. It's because of the quality. Ours is a higher quality. Now, they're all laughing at me, because this is my hot button, right?
She gets hot now. Now she's going to throw down. Now she's going to throw down.
Again, back to the myths on the internet. There are a lot of myths on the internet. So why do we use sucralose? We use sucralose in our shake to make it diabetic friendly, right? Because a lot of people who are overweight already have diabetes. There is a correlation. So we want to keep it diabetic friendly. So a lot of people go to me, oh yeah, well why don't you use xylitol? It's a natural sugar alcohol. And I go, okay, it is. It's toxic to an animal. A 40-pound dog could die from it. But more importantly, it causes diarrhea in 22 to 25% of the population. So it would literally be 1, 2, 3 diarrhea, 1, 2, 3 diarrhea, 1, 2, 3 diarrhea.
Oh, that'd be a fun session.
That would not make promoting the challenge fun for you.
Well, for most of them.
Yeah. Then people go, well, why not use agave? Well, agave is great for tequila, but it's not great for weight loss. And if anybody wants to buy me some agave later, feel free. The launch is behind me now, I can relax. Agave is 90% fructose, and fructose spikes hunger, not something you want in a weight loss product. Ooh, I'm hungry from eating this. So we don't use...
Now I want a margarita tequila. You got me going here.
In an hour, Steve.
So we don't use agave for that. Some people go, why don't you use stevia? Well, we have stevia a little bit in our cereal, we have a little bit in Go, we have a little bit in Pro. But in higher doses, stevia can cause some gas and other issues, and it also leaves a bitter licorice aftertaste. And since you're drinking this 2 times a day for maybe 90 days or more, you don't want to have to avoid it, you want to enjoy it. So we know that our sucralose is enjoyable and tastes good. The other thing I want to point out is that it's one of the most studied sweeteners in the world. It's approved in over 85 countries. So if you don't trust the US FDA, then look to the rest of the world where they are much stricter, and they have approved it in over 85 countries, and it passes through your body. And a lot of people, here's the thing that really drives me crazy, is that doctor out there that I will slap one day. I'm going to will it to happen, aren't I? I just know it. And I'm not violent, I don't believe in it. But he talks about, oh, it's, chlorine. You'll hear it's chlorine in your pool. Well, first of all, you have 2 teaspoons of chlorine in your body right now, and there are different types of chlorine. It is not bleach. It is not the chlorine in your pool, it's a different molecule. And how they get it is, it's a chloride found in tomatoes and healthy fruits and vegetables are pulled out, attached to a sugar molecule so it passes through your body. So it's not chlorine, and it is not DDT, and that is a myth, and if I find the person that started that one, I will slap them too.
I need to pepper and calm them down.
So we're using those for superior safety, superior studies, over 105 studies, and most approved sweetener in the world. So I hope that helps put that one to bed.
So, yeah, there's one question that I get asked a lot about the 5-pack and blood thinners. There's a little bit of ginkgo in the antioxidant, so technically you can't take it if you are on a prescription blood thinner. In reality, what has to happen is your doctor would probably titrate down the level of Coumadin, titrate down the level of Plavix that you're on, which to me would be a good thing, theoretically. So these types of nutrients, just like an aspirin, can actually thin the blood, and so you have to be a little bit careful. That's how essential oils work. They've been shown to reduce the risk of stroke, for example. They actually have a platelet stickiness effect. They actually reduce the stickiness of the platelet. So essential oils can do that, things in the antioxidants do. So the answer for me is that technically you got to check with your physician if you have a question. But the problem is your physician's going to say, oh, don't take that stuff, because that's usually the comment that they make. But the point is that you probably can take it. You can just say, because they'll tell you, don't eat green leafy vegetables if you're on Coumadin, for example. And then you say, no, I want to eat green leafy vegetables. You do your job and titrate down my dose of Coumadin, for example. And that's what you have to do.
And then for the shake, we get questioned about the vitamin K in the shake. There's 24 micrograms. That is less than the amount of vitamin K your gut makes on its own every day, so you should be fine on the shake.
Awesome. This is where it boils down to. Our bodies are these amazing machines, and when you give it the right fuel, it performs better. It knows how to heal itself. This is the way God made us. Thank you for giving us such amazing products that it can do this for us. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Give it up for Dr. Michael Visalus. One last question before I let you go. This is a very important question, and I know because I think it's important to know the hearts of these fine people. In a sentence, why? Why are you so passionate about these products and the impact it's having on the world?
Oh my God, one sentence? I've never done anything in sentence. That was 2. Sorry. The answer is, in my office, I can treat one patient at a time. Visalus has allowed me the opportunity to spread the mission of health and wellness around the world.
Thank you.
When I look out in the crowd and I see what good we've done health-wise, as a nutritionist and food scientist and dietitian, it actually sometimes brings tears to my heart. You should have heard the stories I heard today from people in the audience. This is why I keep doing this. This is why I love it. And as long as I draw breath, I'm never going to stop.
And for me, it's all of that and more. I started my career in healthcare, and I was just helping people manage their symptoms, and here I get to see the stories of transformation. As Dr. Witherly and Dr. Seidman said, if it wasn't for you and the stories you share with us, if it wasn't for you and the good you're doing in the world, my job would be just a job. So it's because of you and because of the stories that you share with us that you give meaning to our lives.
Awesome.